Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Reserve Health Growth Podcast. Today, I'd like to talk about comfort zones, most specifically, venturing outside of ours. This is front of mind for me because recording myself in these podcasts has 100% unequivocally challenged me outside of mine. But today, I'd first like to talk about what it's like when we all move outside of our collective comfort zones as a group. When everyone is in their comfort zone, processes tend to stagnate. People follow routines and creativity can be limited because there's no need to think outside the box. But when a team is collectively pushed outside their comfort zone, innovation flourishes. This is often when creative solutions to problems emerge because people are forced to think differently. In a changing workplace, innovation is key. When a team confronts a challenge together, they often uncover more efficient, creative, or effective ways of working that they may not have discovered otherwise. A team that regularly steps outside of its comfort zone together becomes more resilient, because resilience is built through repeated exposure to challenges and the knowledge that they can be overcome. When a workplace undergoes change, it can be a bumpy ride, and there are moments of doubt and failure, but there are also successes. Teams that have experience facing that discomfort together are more likely to bounce back quickly and adapt to those changes with confidence. They understand that setbacks are just part of the process, and they know how to work through them as one cohesive unit. When a group steps into the unknown, everyone is exposed to challenges that they may not be accustomed to facing. There is shared vulnerability, and that can create a sense of camaraderie. People lean on one another, not just for skills or expertise, but simply for emotional support. In a work environment, when a team takes on a new initiative, there is a shared experience that fosters a deeper sense of trust. People see one another as allies in the face of a common challenge. Moving outside your comfort zone alone can feel isolating and daunting, but when a team goes through it together, there's a sense of strength in numbers. Each individual may have moments of doubt, but the collective momentum of the group can pull everyone forward. In a workplace undergoing change, this is vital. Whether it's a restructuring, a shift in culture, a new strategic direction, teams that push outside their comfort zone together are more likely to succeed because they feel supported by one another. Everyone is contributing to moving the needle forward, which reduces the fear of failure. When the entire team moves outside of their comfort zone together, it creates a shift in the organizational culture. It fosters an environment where growth, adaptability, and continuous improvement become central value. Change becomes less intimidating, and risk-taking is seen as just a natural part of the progress. In a workplace that's changing, these cultural shifts are critical. Teams that can collectively embrace discomfort are more likely to lead change rather than simply be swept up in it. When, as leaders, we guide a team through this uncomfortable zone, our leadership plays a crucial role. For those listening who are leaders, we must model vulnerability and embrace the challenge ourselves, offering support and guidance throughout the process. In a changing workplace, leaders who foster a growth mindset and create a psychologically safe environment for their teams, where people feel safe to take risks and make mistakes, we're better equipped. And leading those teams through discomfort can lead to transformation. Change in the workplace is inevitable. Whether it's a new direction, the adoption of new technology, or a shift in the organizational priorities, for a group to move outside of their collective comfort zone is to engage with that change rather than to resist it. The experience of confronting the unknown together helped teams develop adaptability, which is a critical trait in today's working environments. Remember, change is a team effort. When the team moves together outside the comfort zone, change is no longer something that's being done to us, but it's something we're actively participating in. And that fosters a sense of ownership and involvement. As teams become more accustomed to stepping outside of our comfort zones, we're able to become more agile and resilient. These teams learn how to handle disruptions with confidence and make future changes easier to navigate. Ultimately, a team that regularly pushes past their comfort zone together becomes stronger, more innovative, and more tightly knit, contributing to the overall resilience and success of the whole organization. In short, when a team faces discomfort together, they build trust, adaptability, and resilience, which are all necessary to navigate and thrive during periods of change. But the reality is sometimes the team isn't always going to be there, and the discomfort actually is personal. Sometimes we aren't moving outside our comfort zone collectively, and it's a much bigger leap when we're jumping alone. There are real risks to vulnerability and stepping outside of our comfort zone, and there's no guarantee that it will always go smoothly or that there will be success. Taking risks can lead to setbacks and failures, and that can be discouraging. However, there are ways to gauge that risk and whether it's worth taking. And knowing how to handle situations when they don't go as planned is equally important. So let's explore how to identify reasonable risks and what to do when stepping outside of your comfort zone just simply doesn't go well. First, assess the potential for growth. The first question I would ask myself is, what's the potential upside? When considering stepping outside of your comfort zone, think about what you stand to gain. Will this experience help you develop new skills, build confidence, or gain valuable insight? If the potential for growth is significant, it's likely a risk worth taking. For example, taking on a project that stretches your abilities may seem intimidating, but if you can help to grow in your role or prepare yourself for future leadership opportunities, it's a risk that's probably worth taking. Next, consider the impact of failure. While it's essential to focus on the potential benefits, you also need to think about the consequences of failure if you're going to take a responsible approach. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? And can I recover from it? Reasonable risks have manageable downsides. If the worst case scenario doesn't jeopardize your career, the team around you, or your personal well-being, it's likely a risk you can afford to take. For example, speaking up in a meeting where you normally wouldn't might feel uncomfortable. But the potential downside of perhaps being misunderstood or making a mistake is likely manageable compared to the upside of contributing new ideas to the group. Now you can weigh the risks against your own values and goals. Ask yourself, does this risk align with where I want to go personally or professionally? If stepping outside your comfort zone moves you closer to something meaningful, it's likely a risk worth taking. For example, if your long-term goal is to lead teams, taking on a leadership role on a project that you know is challenging aligns with that goal, even if it feels uncomfortable in the moment. One recommendation is to start small and test the waters. A reasonable risk doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can start small and incrementally step further outside your comfort zone. This allows you to test the waters and build confidence before taking on larger challenges. It's like dipping your toe into the pool before diving in head first. Start with a manageable risk and build from there. For example, if public speaking just isn't your thing, don't start with presenting at a large conference. Start by presenting in front of a small group, and then gradually build your confidence with larger and larger audiences. And finally, gather feedback and input. Sometimes we're too close to the situation to accurately assess the risks and the benefits. Talk to trusted colleagues and mentors or friends about the opportunity or challenge that you face. They can provide you a more objective perspective on whether the risk is reasonable, and they may be able to highlight potential benefits as well as drawbacks that you haven't considered. So what if we've done everything we've talked about and stepping outside of our comfort zone just simply doesn't go well? Even when you take reasonable risks, things don't always go smoothly. When stepping outside of your comfort zone doesn't go as planned, you have to know how you're going to navigate it. It's important to acknowledge the experience, not the failure. First and foremost, recognize that stepping outside your comfort zone is an achievement in and of itself. Even if things didn't go well, you took action and tried something new. The only true failure is staying stagnant and never growing. Acknowledge that stepping into the unknown comes with risk and setbacks, and that's just part of the process. For example, let's say you led a project that didn't meet its goals. Instead of labeling the whole experience as a failure, acknowledge the lessons you've learned about leadership and problem solve. Reflect on what went wrong, but also what went right. Take time to reflect on what happened. What aspects of the experience didn't go well? And just as importantly, what did? Often, even in failure, there are successes we overlook. Analyzing what went wrong doesn't mean dwelling on the negatives, but you do need to learn from the experience. For example, if you took on a new role that felt overwhelming, reflect on which skills you developed, even if the end result wasn't ideal. Maybe it was overwhelming because your time management needs improvement, but along the way, you really improved your communication skills. Adjust and try again. Growth is a process. Once you've reflected on what went wrong, ask yourself, what can I adjust for next time? This could be learning a new skill, asking for help, or changing your approach. I can tell you that when I stepped into my first leadership role, it led to a tremendous amount of stress. I felt as though there was miscommunication all around me. I had to adjust. I had to learn better communication skills, delegation, and improving my emotional intelligence. These adjustments helped me prepare for the future. Failure is often a signal that something does need to change, but it's not a signal that you shouldn't have taken the risk in the first place. So to wrap things up, comfort zones are normal, but a lot can be gained by challenging ourselves outside of them. Whether as a group or individually, there are ways to approach these times in our lives as opportunities. In the week ahead, reflect on times when your own comfort zone may have been challenged. How did it go? What did you learn about yourself? I bet it's easy to think about a few that went particularly well and you're proud of, and I would love to hear about them. I also suspect there are some stumbles you've had along the way. But I bet looking back, those stumbles aren't as catastrophic today as they seemed at the time. Thanks for joining me today as I challenge my own comfort zone. Until next time, keep striving to be the best version of yourself.